morning, and welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild. All the other platforms are on. I am Debbie G, and it's that time. Time for a Cuppa Grata with a shot of expression and two squirts of reality. Today I've got a co-squirt who is bringing us everything from taking it off to pussy tacos. And I did it. I had to. Seriously, I'm like queen of everything, and he's pussy tacos. What the hell did you find that? Oh my god! Oh, by the way, Corey Laine Hilton, everybody, welcome.
Hey, nice to meet you guys. Actually, I've been on this little program a little while ago there discussing my book and whatnot, but I thought I'd come on and talk about pussy tacos for today. No, I mean, I got this actually, believe it or not, I'm going to give the company a little bit of a plug that I got it from. It was an online thing. It was this Society 6 was the name of the company, I believe, that sells those particular custom cups. So as soon as I saw that, I thought, man, that's funny. And then, of course, Debbie, you got it. As soon as I showed it to you, you're like, okay, now I get it. But that is tacos and little nachos flying around there in space. So just a weird coffee cup. But that's me. I love creativity and originality.
I do too. And what's funny is like this is the way to start it off. We're we're a Thursday here. It's 8:00 in the morning here in Southern California, so it's early. What time is it? Corey, where are you tuning in from? Canada, right?
Yeah, I'm up here in Kelowna, British Columbia, in the Okanagan Valley, kind of similar to the Napa Valley, so to speak, in California. And it's interesting, though, you know, I gotta say, like, you just never know what's going to happen in this life, you know, and sometimes it's just surprising the people that you meet, the people that you run into, being bold and getting yourself out there. And I've been, as you know, I've been doing quite a few podcasts in this last little while. I've pretty much been on the Take It Off podcast tour for the last couple of months, and it's been so cool meeting like such original and interesting people from all over the world. So, you know, there's a lot of other Looney Tunes out there as well, like us, that like to have fun, be creative, and just really enjoy doing what you do. And that's really what I've kind of found a lot in this podcasting community, quite frankly. In fact, really kind of getting to know a lot of different genres of podcasts, to be honest. Even one that I did in Australia called The Grief Code, that was actually all about grief and dealing with death, or for that matter, death of a relationship or whatever it may be. And I really connected with this coach Ian Hawkins down there in Sydney, Australia. And we had a really amazing podcast. Actually, it was a lot different than the majority of the ones that I do. So it seems like everyone's a little bit different, but it's really cool. I just love this whole experience, and I'm excited to actually open up my own podcast this next little while here. Not sure exactly when yet. I can only open one garage door at a time, but it's coming soon, so I'm excited.
I love that. And I want to say my husband loves he's saying pussy tacos at 8 a.m. Love it.
And Joe.
That's my husband for you. Thank you, honey. And then, of course, you know, I've got Tracy Romano on, who I've known forever. Tracy, you know you're going to apprioate that. Check out his cup.
Yeah,
girl.
Pussy tacos.
Pussy tacos. It's just freaking funniest shit I've ever seen in my I need a cup like this.
There's actually 4 of them on there. You can split them up. Oh my God, I just said that. Anyway, so I'm just going to shut up now. I'll just leave it to you. You can finish the rest of the episode now. Oh no.
We gotta look at we're here to spark that G vibe. It is the G vibe sparker. I mean, it is Cuppa Grata with a shot of expression and 2 squirts of reality. I mean,
that's
no puns.
Yeah, there's a lot to unwrap.
Huge, big. Love that.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. And you know what's cool? And John, I know, John, you're loving this conversation so far, aren't you? We're gonna EFT that one.
Oh my goodness.
Go ahead. John is a great guy.
That's cool. I wanted to say, I've been actually noticing on your Facebook and stuff that you and your husband are getting out and doing some stuff. Have you been doing some concerts yet or anything? I know that you were planning on maybe getting out there and doing a concert or two. Is there something going on?
Oh, totally. Oh yeah, we just saw Volbeat. Volbeat is dude, crazy.
Yeah, really
crazy.
Hey? Awesome.
Big whopping. I was just like, it was crazy awesome. Yeah, it was for my birthday. He got it for me for my birthday, which was great.
No way. For 29?
Yeah.
29.
20, no, I'm 54 and proud of it, man.
Come on, you're lying. You're cheating on me here. You're lying.
Yeah, no.
I'm just hey, girl, I'm going on 52 and here in another couple of weeks myself, so I feel you. But it's a good age to be. A really good age to be.
John, Debbie's a rock and roll animal. You know it, John.
Yeah,
You know it.
you
I
know,
am. That's one thing. I'm all about my music. So, all
same,
of you,
same.
for everybody that's jumping in, I want to just give you a quick refresher. I had Corey on before because he's got an incredible book called Take It Off. You spent a lot of your life as a stripper, as a male
Yeah,
stripper, and an exotic dancer, and
yeah.
bringing a lot of pleasure to a lot of women and probably a few men too, if I had to guess, which is cool.
You're right.
I love that. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And the funny thing, when you look back, actually, I mean, I'm long out of the industry now. I mean, good Lord, I can barely remember my last show. It's been so long. But when it comes down to it, it's almost surreal. You look back at these times in your life and you go, did I actually do that? And you're looking back, and you're right. Actually, the irony of that, what you just said, I actually did do shows for women the majority of my career, but actually there was a few that I actually did for men as well. There really was, and that was when I was here in Canada when I first started out. And it was a very interesting experience as a straight guy walking into that situation, And I mean, I can honestly say that I never was disrespected in that scenario. I actually had really good quality shows. I got paid, and a lot of the times more than I did doing other shows for ladies. And at the same time, I'm not even the slightest bit homophobic in any way. So for me, it was even a show. It was always a show, regardless of whether it was for men, women, whatever. It was
I
always a
love that.
show. And I always treated it the same. It didn't matter if the girl was drop dead gorgeous out there, or she was somebody that was not appealing to me. It was always a show. And I think there was only one girl in fact in my entire 25-year career that it wasn't a show for. That's now my former wife, actually. And the crazy thing was, she was the only girl in my career that I did not accept a tip from. So yeah, it was really kind of an odd thing when I first met her. I was like, put your money away. So
That's
crazy.
pretty cool. Well, what's
Yeah.
awesome? What's awesome is that my friend Tracy's saying, "Yep, I did that too." And if you can see like her pictures right here in the little corner,
Oh yeah, gold.
she's still gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She was gorgeous then. She's gorgeous now, and I love that. And John, where did Grandpa sign up for this? Well, hey, I was curious. Did you use the poll? Did you use the poll at
That's
all?
funny. Yeah, and you know what?
I'm
Not
asking. Oh, I'm asking for a good reason here. I
okay,
swear to God.
okay, cool. No, I mean, no. Actually, I will say that that was not really in the cards for a male dancer, but I did do a couple of shows that were female dance clubs that they brought me into, that I actually was on stage with a pole and jokingly kind of messed around on the pole just to play to the audience and have some fun with it. So I did do that a
Hmm.
couple times because I was really silly on stage. If you want to know the truth, I was really like, when it came down to it, I wasn't necessarily the macho man entertainer that was out there trying to be all cool all the time. That wasn't really my role. I really enjoyed just being silly and goofy and stuff, and that was kind of my personality. In fact, sometimes I would believe it or not, even go up to a girl. I'd be like, she'd have a dollar bill shoved down here or whatever, and I'd crawl up between
Uh-huh.
her legs, grab the dollar bill, slide my tongue up her neck, and whisper in her ear, I got to tell you a secret. And she'd be like, what's that? And I'd be like, you need to get a magnifying glass out because I'm hung like a freaking gerbil. And I'd just make him laugh, like whatever it took, just to make him laugh, right? I didn't care. It wasn't about all that shit,
Well, I love this, but the reason I was asking is because pole fitness is so fascinating
Oh,
to me. I think
yeah.
pole fitness is like one of the most exciting things in the world, and men are doing it too, which is why I thought,
Yeah.
it's so cool. Okay, and I love that you were a male exotic dancer, and I think that that's wonderful. But what I'm really excited about is that you are an accountability coach today. Your
Oh.
book is called Take It Off, and just so that you all know, um, this shit excites me. John says this shit excites me. And yet Tracy says I was very much like flat. Well, actually, maybe we're not going to shift yet. I
Oh,
was
cool.
very much like a
Cool.
flesh. That is rad.
Yeah.
So actually, we are, because you went from doing that in your life, but then a
Mm.
lot of things changed. You had a
Yeah.
situation, you got a divorce, things like that. You were on
Yeah.
before and we talked about a lot of that, but I really want to
Mhm.
take a deeper dive into what does it mean for you today to use those experiences and
Mhm.
bring them into your coaching?
Yeah, great question, actually. It's authenticity, actually, that I focus on. But I will say that when it comes
Uh,
down to, yeah, like that's the umbrella. It's actually like,
Authenticity.
yeah, but
Better
I'm
word. I like that word.
but it actually kind of is, I guess you could say, my demographic, my target demographic that I'm actually looking to really, I guess you could say, help out in this world to a certain degree, is men over 30 who struggle with lack, self-worth, basically. Really, when it comes down to it, the main thing is emotional connection, or emotional disconnection, more like it. I struggled with all those things in a big way, like, and I mean, not just a normal like guy thing, because a lot of guys are obviously emotionally disconnected, just as the way we're wired from the get-go. For me, throw that on steroids and that's what you kind of got. So I'm so now geared towards showing that, exposing that, and being vulnerable about my issues that I had in such a big way, and the detriment that it had in my life. So, I just mentioned my ex-wife, for example, somebody that I obviously had, a deep heart for. She was somebody that I was together with for almost 8 years, I guess. And when it comes down to it, I met her in kind of a weird scenario where I was working, and I was doing a show just south of Macon, Georgia, and it was this really fairy tale meeting in a weird way. Even though it was in the stripping arena, it was one of those things that most people don't meet the way we met. And so we had this really cool intro, and we had this really amazing honeymoon phase and all that stuff. But the learning experience that I had from that, and there's many learning experiences in my career, okay, but the big one, the lifelong learning experience, was that I went through such hell in my own head after my divorce, sitting there going, why? I'm Mr. Fix It. I need to figure out a way that I can make this right, and trying to go and put a Band-Aid on something that was a wound that was never going to heal, and just all these things that go through your head when you go through the grieving process of divorce. And it really is a grieving process in my eyes, because to me it's worse than death, because it's something that could have been prevented. So it was even something that I really dwelled on a lot more, and pointed the finger at myself in such a harsh way, and I was really not kind to myself through that whole process. And so I did this long 8-year Forrest Gump walk, almost, I'd say it was almost 8 years, of just trying to figure it all out, and I could never figure it out. And the problem is that I was never really addressing my internal struggles, the internal issues that I had but didn't realize that I had. And that's the interesting part. I always thought, oh, I'm good, I'm fine, like I'm just like everybody else out there. Everybody has issues, but I'll deal with it. And I just continued to work on my external side of things and keep my body in really good shape, because that was something that I got away with for so many years. But the thing is that the problem that continued to fester, the dis-ease that I had inside of me, was simply that when it came down to just my emotions, I didn't understand the problems that I had, because I wasn't connected to my core values. And I went over this a little bit in our last conversation, but the core value of creativity, that's the one that really ate my marriage alive. And it's so funny when people say, oh, how could you have been married to a male dancer? She was more like, how could I be married to the guy that's not the male dancer now? Because it was kind of the opposite. Like, she loved the guy that was charismatic, the guy that was creative, the guy that was out there, even if it was taking off his clothes for women. She loved it, because like I was that guy that was having a lot of fun, and I treated her with respect. I never cheated on her, all those things, right? So she was like, man, I found a gold mine here. But in the end, when I actually got out of the dance arena for a couple of years and went into the construction arena for a little while, I lost that creativity. I didn't have the excitement that was behind that core value of creativity in me anymore. And when I lost that excitement and that charisma, I changed. I was a different guy. So through all that process, after I got divorced, I was sitting there pointing the finger at her, going, blame game, blame game, blame game. You cheated on me, blah, 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 blah. And I was so just jaded and angry inside, and held all those negative emotions inside of me, doing more damage to myself than anybody else by a long shot. And in the end, what did it do for me? Absolutely nothing. It didn't get me anywhere. In fact, it held me back from so many things in my life, holding all that stuff in. So through the writing process, when I discovered those core values, wrote them all down, and connected those dots, the coolest thing ever happened with that I always preach, because you don't think you have value, you don't think you can be a role model. BS, you can be a role model, and you can have value, no matter whether you were a stripper or a frigging garbage truck driver or whatever you do out there, you do have value. And so when I went back and looked at that, I went back and chatted with her about it, and when we had a discussion, I figured it out. I connected dots. I'm not here to blame you. I really want to release you from that prison, because I'm releasing me from that prison. So I really want you to live a good life. And I truly did. The coolest part that happened with that is when I told her the whole thing about the creativity and excitement and how that degraded, she sat there and went, oh my God, that makes sense. And so after 15 years of being completely detached, she found her authenticity right after I had that conversation with her. I was a role model. I allowed her to go ahead and start moving not only with her life as far as from our past, but she started moving in her own authentic direction in her life now, and is actually like went in a completely different direction, which I'm proud of her for, regardless of where that road goes. At least she's doing what she wants to do with her life and not living through somebody else's body anymore. And that's where I'm like, yeah, good for you, girl. You know, you liberated yourself. Like, not as deep of a process that I went through, not by a long shot, but at least when you are that way, that authenticity is magnetic sometimes, and people want that. You know, they see it, you lead by that example, and they want that in their own life. So that's literally what I'm doing, Debbie, when I'm actually doing my courses now, is I'm like, here, read my book, take it off. I've just gotten really vulnerable. Check this out. Like, you're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to freaking probably like want to scream sometimes and go, what the hell were you doing, dude? But at the same time, like, I'm going, hey, I'm showing you mine, show me yours. Like, I just want to lead by example and have you guide yourself through this whole course. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I just want to gently guide you in the right direction and lead by example and go, here, I've done it. I'm just as guilty or worse than anybody else for all these things. I've just learned from it. I'm not touching the
Right, right.
electric fence, you know.
Well, I love this, but I really want to talk about, okay, so when we talk about authenticity, when we talk about authenticity, I said accountability, and authenticity and accountability
Same thing in a way.
are well, they are the same thing in my world, because
Mhm.
if I'm being accountable for all of my actions 100%, including how if somebody else does anything, they're doing
Mhm.
that because I have taught them how to treat me. Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
No other two ways about it. But with men in particular, what
Mhm.
I've discovered is that they weren't taught to have an authentic voice.
Yeah.
They weren't taught that it was okay to come out and like say, "Hey, you know what? I'm feeling this right now inside." Not saying you're doing this and now I'm feeling this. It's more, I'm just feeling this thing. Can you hold space for me? So authenticity, tell me what the word means to you.
Well, I mean, it really always comes back to my truth. It's just like, really, it's not selling yourself as something that you're not. And this is a world that we're so full of that. You know, I
Right.
mean, regardless of whether it's on your social media or walking down the street and talking to your neighbor, like, a lot of the time we sell ourselves as something that we're not, to be able to make ourselves look at or better, to keep up with the freaking Joneses. And it's like, to
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
I mean, because it's you, I did my hair today, but maybe I wouldn't even do my hair for a regular podcast now, because I don't really care anymore. Like, I'm just kidding, but I'm just saying, like, it's just one of those things that I really find that when I'm living by this standard, and not just a goal, but I'm living by this standard, I'm not just preaching this stuff, I'm actually practicing this stuff. And it doesn't have to be on a high level. It might just be that, you know, on a daily basis, I'm saying what I'm saying I'm going to do, and be disciplined to do it. It makes me feel better about the person that I am. It's just like, you know, if I sit there and say, oh, I live in a clean house, but my house is completely dirty from end to end or whatever, and I'm sitting in it looking around, I'm like going, well, I'm not practicing what I'm preaching, and I'm living here in chaos. I feel like crap. Right. So it's sort of like, you just feel better as a person all the way around. And then you have the confidence, when you are practicing those things, to be able to actually influence other people in a good way. So, and that's my way I want to impact other people. Like, that's what gets me up in the morning. It really does. That's what gives me the goosebumps
Yeah.
now, is that I know, based off of just that little story that I just described, of somebody that I thought could never be healed in my life, if I was able to actually heal that connection and make that
Mhm.
still work, I feel like I can conquer the world. If anybody that's willing out there that wants to work with me, I'm really confident that I can help somebody else out that's willing to go there. If you're not, I'm not here to squeeze a square through a circle.
Yeah, squeezing squares through circles is just mighty freaking tiring, isn't it?
No,
Oh my God.
won't do it.
Okay, so what I'm really hearing you say is like, so you had this experience with her that you both were able to evaluate what went on and really come to terms with it. It's been
Mhm.
my experience that everything comes down to communication and the way we are communicating.
Oh yeah.
Authenticity is our truth, and our truth is how that we're communicating. Period.
Yes.
And if we are not speaking our truth, and we also teach the thing that is the hardest for us to learn in life. I teach so using our authentic voice was one of the hardest things.
Oof.
Me saying no when I meant no, yes when I mean yes, no bullshit. Don't give me any bullshit because I will. Now I call myself out first, and then I'll call somebody else out because we are here for a very short time.
Yeah.
Why are we wasting any time at all not living the life that you want to live? Why are you out there who's watching right now not doing that thing that you want to do? That thing.
Yeah.
What is stopping you? Because Corey, you wrote a book. I know that that's like the path I'm on. There's people watching right now who are going,
Yeah.
yeah, I really need to do that one thing. So, Corey, how do they do that? What is a tool? What is a tool out of your book or out of your sessions? What is something that we could give everybody right now who's sitting there going, well, I want to be in my authentic voice, but I don't know how to do it because I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's layered. It really is, Debbie. I mean, I just can't give it a one word answer when it comes down to it because it is layered. I mean, first and foremost, like I just said, you have to be willing, really, when it comes down to that, obviously. But at the same time, first off, an understanding that you like for myself, like I was a perfectionist. I was really into comparison game with other people, all that
Oh,
BS
I
that so many
bet.
people do,
Yeah.
right? So,
Hmm.
so really, to me, it's sort of like first and foremost, be kind to yourself. Like stop trying to be Mr. or Mrs. Perfect. And if you drop something on the floor, stop being so hard on yourself and going, oh, way to go, Corey. Because guess what you're doing when you do that? You're not just projecting that negative energy upon yourself, but you're projecting that negative energy in your environment as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
So you've heard all this stuff right before, but at the same time, it is kind of layered. Like that's the first and foremost, start with you is what I'm trying to get at. Because if you're not willing to really work on that side of it, then the rest of it's kind of not going to happen. So, and then to me, it's like it comes in the layers of understanding the synchronicity of authenticity with emotional intelligence, and it's trying to keep a rational mindset, with, especially when it comes to decision making and when your emotions get overdone, like all that. Like if you get to the
yeah,
point where your emotions are a 8 or 9 on a 10 scale, you're kind of in a bad place. You probably want to bring that back down to a 2 or a 3, get out into nature, do what you have to do to be able to do that, and be rational when you enter back into the conversation, because it's not going to work out so well if you're at the 8 or the 9.
yeah.
Secondly, understanding your values and the feelings that are connected to them, for sure. I mean, that's a massive one, and we're all snowflakes in that department, in my eyes. So like, it's not just as easy as saying you need to understand your truth, because you
Oh, it's
really
not.
you don't, like, you have a
Nope.
completely different thing than I do.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
you have a different roadmap, right? So I can't, again, that's why I can't just say it's a one word answer. Here you go. Here's the easy button solution, and you're
No, but
cured.
there's practices. There's practices. And I
Absolutely.
love John saying truthful with self first. Of course,
Yeah.
self first, not
Yeah.
selfish. And self-compassion awareness.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
when we are escalated, there is, I mean, there are all kinds of things we can do, but I like how you said get out in nature, go do
Yeah.
something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I love that. But speaking your authentic truth and talking about your values and
Yep.
what your core values are, or what your true needs are,
Hmm.
that's something that I had to learn. I mean,
Same.
I had to
Same.
learn that through compassionate communication. I had to learn that through NVC, nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg, emotional
Okay.
intelligence.
Yep.
Emotional intelligence is the ability to tap in and actually understand what you're feeling, what's not there that you would like, and be able to handle it yourself.
That's right.
Now, not looking outside of you at any other human being whatsoever but
Hmm.
yourself.
Yeah.
So, how that's the process that I was talking. So the value system.
Hmm.
We can't just decide what our values, all of our values are immediately, but I can tell you that what you can do is think about right now, what's an important value out there for you guys? What's a
Hmm.
really, like, okay, I have a really big value, and I'm going to tell you, I've caught your value for integrity is huge.
Massive.
Huge.
It's the derivative. It's just like the
Totally.
integrity is like the feeling that I get with integrity is confidence and self worth. Straight
Woo! I hope you guys caught this. Understand?
straight
See
up.
the value,
Yeah.
value for integrity, confidence, and self worth.
Yeah.
You
Hundred
understand?
percent. Hundred
Okay,
percent.
so that right there is a nugget. Y'all got that nugget. Chew on that. Think about that. If I'm in my integrity, I'm experiencing confidence,
Hmm.
self-worth.
Yes.
I'm building my confidence, my self-worth because I'm speaking my truth. I'm going to tell you, I don't know if
Hmm.
Tracy's still on, but she is one person. She was speaking her truth, Corey, before it was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my
Kudos.
value, right? I mean,
Kudos.
seriously, I'm like,
Yeah.
I would sit back and go, God, how does she do that? How does
Yeah.
she just
But
do that? She just tells people what's up. Like no BS. She was doing this back when it wasn't cool. I
love you or
promise.
hate you. Love you or hate you.
And
It's
I
gonna
just
be
sit
it.
there, right, and I just sit there going, and I just be sitting there like admiring her, going, "Wow, this is so beautiful." But anyway,
But I
yes,
will.
John.
I can even expand on it a little bit for Debbie. Like, I mean, obviously, you mentioned integrity, which actually is like seriously. I wrote a chapter about it in my book, and it's a pretty heavy chapter to be straightforward. It's a butterfly effect moment in my life that completely changed the trajectory of my life. Like halfway through my career, I went in a completely different direction. But if I had chose the other road, I might not be sitting here right now. You know, I mean, there's just we have a lot of those butterfly effect moments. But when you
Yeah,
actually crunch it down, like it's hard to lay down 8 or 10 of your core values and then attach the feelings to it and then sit there and try to be able to connect the dots when you're having a bad day and trying to figure out like where am I having an issue here. It's hard to do that. So what Diana Ryer is my coach and an editor with my company Daring to Share, she basically created what they call or she calls an inner purpose feeling. So it's basically taking all those feelings, those 8 or 10 feelings that are connected to those core values, crunching it down into one word, right? Instead. So by doing that, then if you say, for example, the word is harmony, which is one of mine, is that, you know, if I'm on the opposite end of harmony, then I'm really on the opposite end of authenticity, right? So I have to really, really go now. If I'm at that end of things, now I really have to go into those values and go, okay, which one's really being compromised here, and go to try to connect it. Because what happens is like it's not even as important to understand the feelings that are connected to the values as it is to understand the opposite feelings. So disconnection, for example, for me is a problem with one of my relationships because the feelings that I get from relationships are connection. So I know I can connect that dot and go, oh, I'm feeling disconnected today. It's probably somebody in my life that I'm not gelling with. I need to go and see who that is and try to maybe have a coffee with them and talk to them with my pussy taco cup. You
I
know,
love
so
that, and I'm the queen of everything. So we rule. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, so I love this. I want to know when because listen, the disconnect happens with men more than women because men believe that the
oh, totally.
connect is sex.
Yeah, yeah. I'm guilty.
So,
Totally guilty.
okay, yeah, well, all men are. They're
Yeah, we're wired that way.
until they grow up.
I'm never
Um,
growing up.
well, shit, you know what I mean. Yeah, apparently you did a little bit there, cowboy,
A
because you're
little
not
bit.
a little bit because you know what authentic truth is now.
Yeah, it's
So,
true.
but
I'll admit it.
I mean, seriously, like that.
Yeah.
But you know what? I had sexual trauma as a child, so I can tell you that the disconnect was there for me too, which is why I thought sex was connection too. So I get
Yeah.
it in that respect only,
Yeah.
but there's a point in time when that shifts and it changes. You know, and
There
this is what's
sure
exciting.
is.
So people that are watching understand what we're talking about is when you're able to actually shift. And I love the idea that you say, okay, who am I? What's going on? I loved your
Mm,
process.
mm,
What's happening for me? And then, okay, I'm feeling disconnected with this person. Maybe we need to go have a coffee. Now,
yeah.
I want everybody to get the big difference here. I'm feeling a disconnect, so I'm going to go have coffee versus I'm having a disconnect. I think I'm going to call you an asshole,
Exactly.
you know, because I'm not happy with some whatever. So it's such a
Mm,
non-ego state of being to do that. So that is
mm.
tell me about what's the received what's the person receiving at that point? What's your intention to give them when how do you initiate that connection to come back in?
Yeah, it depends on like how what we're talking about. I mean, obviously, like how deep this is. I mean, it could be something that's really harsh, right? But at the same time, like to me, it's kind of like um I've always kind of looked at like this. In my former life, I jokingly call it, I really looked through only my lens. I was very like one-dimensional, like
Yeah.
I'm always right. Everybody thinks like me, you know, all that BS, right? And which is so wrong. But when it comes down to it, by respecting other people's perspectives and trying to understand them, and I even now search for it where I used to push it away and avoid it. Now when I disagree with somebody, whether it is on a subject like politics, religion, which I don't like to even talk about, I don't even write about or anything like that, but if it is something that's really in my circle, it's kind of digging into me, if I completely and totally disagree with that person, I really will reach across and say, look, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, you're not going to change my mind about this. And I'm probably not going to change yours either. I'll admit that. But what I'm trying to find here is an understanding of what is ticking inside of that head. Because if I can understand even that, then I can get it through your lens. I can grow a bit as a person, understand you a little bit more, and maybe you can respect mine as well. And after we both have that mutual respect for that, we can move on, agree to disagree, and get onto something that we're back in an even connection again, you know, not feeling so jaded and disconnected over one wedge issue, so to speak, because there's always a wedge issue. Like we've even seen this in this last couple of years. It's like everybody's trying to be so right about the pandemic. Everybody's so right about it. Like, I know, I'm a Facebook doctor. I know. And it's like nobody really knows, right? And we're all, so many people are scared and everything else, and the fear comes into play. All these emotions are rolling around, and everybody's trying to be right because everybody's life's been compromised, and we're all sitting there going, oh, well, you know, like I'm struggling with all this, and they're not even understanding that everybody else is also struggling with this too. Nobody wants to be in this crap. We're all kind of in the same boat, but at the same time, not willing to understand or respect each other's perspectives on the subject in the first place. So for me, it's not just about like that's one subject that's pretty divisive and everything else, but it's more, usually I can drill down on something that's a little less, I guess you could say, intense, and understand and respect somebody's perspectives. Then on the other side of it, sometimes, man, it might just be something that's too much, and I got to put a boundary up, not a barrier, a boundary up, right? Like, I don't think barriers are the best thing, because when you just push people off and you say, you know what, you are like, unless it's like for your own safety, obviously, but when it comes down to like just putting up a complete barrier, I don't know. I've done that a couple times, and it didn't work out in any way,
It
really, in any
doesn't.
good way. It just
It really
didn't.
doesn't, because you wind up hitting, both of you hit against the
Yeah,
barrier, and the
it's just
barrier does. Well,
yeah.
here's what I heard you say, and what I really have heard you emphasize here is to lose the need to be right.
Yeah.
Lose the need to be right. Lose the need to be right. And I do
Yeah.
agree, and I agree with that. It's a matter of, look,
I've been
I
wrong so
have.
many times.
I'm not going to own the wrong part, but I will. I'm going to say that I'm right in my own world, and that you're right in your own world. And the fact of the matter is that I don't know that we're ever really wrong per se. We are all right. Every
Yeah.
person watching is right, because that's their belief system, or it's
There's
our
their
beliefs.
lens.
And you can't know something till you know it. So if you can't know something till you know it, then you're good with being right. But to have to make the other person not respect the other person's, also their right to be right, because
Yeah.
that's their perspective. So
Yeah.
I love that, backing it down.
But I can't,
Sometimes,
it's
yeah, but
tough though, Debbie, when especially when you get online. You get online, you see people's like social media comments, and they're just so like divisive, and like it's all so taken out of context so easily. Like we're it's so easy to have like a misunderstanding or a skewed
sure,
perspective or
sure.
whatever. It's
Hmm.
so easy, like within like just bam, like just a snap of a finger, it can happen so fast, right? And I guess like being somebody that was born before all this internet stuff and everything, I'm glad I was, because like I really do enjoy more than ever actually right now is having those intimate one-on-one conversations, feeling somebody's body language, even if it's across a screen, like just having that honest discussion, like that truthful discussion where it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, I know you said this or whatever, but really, what were you really meaning about this? Like, what
Well,
was the
that's a
real
great
root cause,
question.
right? Like, not
Yep.
just to say it, but what was the real feeling? Like, what was it that caused that, right? That's where we
Hmm.
drill down with a lot in the course, right? Is just kind of, again, it's like it's very layered, but at the same time, it does have an element of some of the hippy dippy stuff when it comes down to the whole like aligning with your authenticity to be able to create abundance as well, and to be able to really like live that, like this, like I was just saying, like negative self-talk can be a really deflector of abundance. Something that I did, because guess why I did it? Because my parents were programmed to do that, and I literally watched them do that every single day of my life as I was growing up. Like, you know, my mom sitting there with her face in the National Enquirer telling me about all the negative, horrible stuff that's happening in the world, and oh, you know, it was just the generation. It was the way that it was, but I just don't want to be that, right? Like I want to try to be better than that. And that's why I can only change what I can change in my little circle. But my circle is expanding more and more. And the further out that I can get with this course and people reading the book, the more influence that can happen. So, you know, and it's not like, look, yes, I'm not going to lie. I'm in a business where I want to make money straight up. I want to make money, but money is not the driver here. Like for me, it's more so my driver is I want to hit a higher state of consciousness in my relationships, personally and professionally. And what I mean by that is even when it comes to the sexual side of things. For example, I can't hit a higher level of sexuality with somebody as having that really heavy emotional connection with somebody. I can't really have that unless I can really, I guess you could say, get to a different place with somebody than I have before. And so what I mean by that is instead of looking up or down at them from my pedestal or from theirs, what I'm trying to say is that having that deep understanding of that other person's core values, understanding their love language, working on those things, talking about those things, not avoiding them and pushing them off and saying,
Right.
oh, you know, today's another day. We're going to go out and do this today, honey. You know, I mean, unless you do, those ties that bind kind of start to fray a little bit. And I went through it. Like, I'm like literally the guy that fell on his face, and it's not fun falling on your face. So I
That
don't want
well,
to, you
it's not fun. I have fallen on my face, and luckily we heal. Luckily we heal, and you
know,
know, and we're here today to still talk about it. You know, and I love
truth.
that. So
Yeah.
understanding, so the willingness. So what this comes down to is the curiosity. Are we curious with others? Are we curious and willing to understand and know what's true for another human being? That's
Yeah.
it, and that is, I mean, that's emotional intelligence in a nutshell. If because getting out of your own way and really getting into another human being in all circumstances to really
Hmm.
want to be in that space is so important. Okay, so you mentioned the love languages. Now I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Corey, you ready? I did the love languages, right? I did the quiz they
Yeah.
have
Same
online.
here. Mine changes. Mine changes. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm even across the board.
Really?
20%, 20%, 20%. Yeah,
Wow.
everything's
So cool.
just yeah, I am a little bit of all of it.
That's cool.
It's
That's
the
really
truth,
cool.
but it didn't used to be like that. I remember like a couple years ago, it was something different. I don't even remember what it was, but
Hmm.
now it's I am a little bit of each,
It does
right?
change. Yeah,
Well,
it does.
and I started thinking about that. Huh. So other people like Joe is his love language is affirmate words of
Oh, affirmations.
affirmation.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm at a 20% on that.
Yeah.
So I have to remember. I don't have to.
You
I
try
get
to.
I try and line. I get to
Mhm.
practice this and remember that that's what that's what it
Feeds
is for
him.
him. Even though
Yeah.
Joe, he says he's watching, he says easy for me, right? Right, Corey?
Yes, it is, because you have a partner that's willing to go there and work there. That's what's
That
cool, Joe. And you're lucky because you have somebody that's willing to walk through the same fire that you are, right? Like there's not many, that's hard. Like
yeah.
I'm in that zone right now. Like I've literally been out of relationships for the last 2 years, completely been out of it because I've been working so hard on
No
myself.
dating either.
Nothing.
Rock
Zero.
on. Badass.
Zero.
That's it right there.
Detachment.
In a nutshell.
Totally.
Go for it. Oh,
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it.
But here,
And
what's really
I
cool.
gotta do mention though, I am the lucky. I also am the lucky one because I have somebody who also who's also willing to meet me where I'm at, which isn't
Mhm.
always the easiest thing to do. Let's face it. I'm I am really like this stuff excites me. I
Yeah.
love getting into this. But anyway, I
Oh, I was just gonna
interrupted you.
say, what's
Mhm.
interesting about that whole process, though, that I've found is that when I was like in the dating scene, or like even after my divorce, even before I was married, all that stuff, like I was always kind of like I hate to use this word, but I was in a weird way kind of judgmental. Like there was times when I would it was
I'm
like I
still
would
judgy. What the hell?
I mean really though on a bigger level, like if somebody had done something in their past, I would, I
Oh
wouldn't really
yeah.
kind of try to understand them. I'd be kind of holding it against them at times. Like I was doing all those things. The whole, I guess, just trying to keep up with the image that I wanted somebody to represent on my arm kind of crap. And it's sort of like I've so lost that in this last couple of years now, and especially in even this last few months, even like it's because I've met so many amazing people, even just like I said, through the podcasting realm and everything else, that
Yeah.
there's when you look back, and I really like I'm so now incredibly open to wiping the slate clean, because guess what? I have a very raunchy and crazy and insane past that a lot of people could never even imagine. Like some of the stories that I went through, they couldn't even imagine going through it. So how can I do that? How can I expect someone else to come into my life and then start a clean slate with me unless I'm willing to do the exact same thing for someone else? So again, it's coming back to that authenticity by leading by freaking example. And so to me, it doesn't matter, like a person that I'm looking at being together with now, it really, I don't really honestly care too much about their past unless they're a serial killer. And I'm not talking about the Kellogg's K. I'm talking about a serial killer.
Yeah,
Like
really,
if
that could be
unless they're
bad, Corey. That could be
unless they're
bad.
that, then otherwise we're pretty good. Like, I'm not talking, but I mean, everybody has their crap. I've done some crazy stuff, Debbie. I mean, God, when I was in my early 20s, I was running steroids from freaking Europe into Canada, for crying out loud. Like I was doing crazy stuff. I was the guy that flew
Yeah.
over to Spain to do that stuff, right? And I mean, putting my life on the line, like, just it's in the book, but I mean, just stuff that nobody would even imagine that I did, right?
I love
But
this. But
you know,
look across the screen, everybody. This is where you can go. It's also put it into the chat to go get this book. I mean, it's an extraordinary book. Plus, I mean, the reviews are outstanding. You guys will see that. Oh my gosh. I mean, you have some interesting things to pull from.
yeah, it's
To
crazy.
touch on being single. I was
Yeah.
single for the better part of 7 years, and but the last almost 4 years before
Mhm.
meeting, I've just and I didn't date. I didn't,
Good for
and
you.
I I got to tell you, there was like one date in like 3 years. It was crazy. It was like so. The whole time I did that because I said I need to figure out what's going on with me. I'm the common denominator in all my relationships. So
Mhm.
obviously the buck stops here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of that, that's how come that
Yeah.
I
Track.
just stopped. But what happens when you no longer need a relationship? When you no longer need that in your life because you just are like, oh, you're good with your aloneness.
Hmm.
You know how to take yourself out on a date. You know
Hmm.
how to love into who you are.
Yep.
You every day, I mean, the hardest relationship you're ever going to master is the one with yourself, and I'm not sure you're ever going
Mhm.
to master it. What I love
Yep.
about this, Corey, is that you're bringing this to men. See, I can talk to men, but I'm not. Men talking to men is so important. So I appreciate what you're doing. But
Yeah.
I'm going to take a quick little shift really quickly because I just want
Yeah.
to remind you guys I am going to be on this Saturday Women Rising on Unify, and it's really really awesome because this week we've got some incredible women that are going to join us, and I'll play the video at the end to remind you. Yeah, Women Rising is such an awesome thing, and I love that because we are in the 1,000 years of the divine feminine. At least we think we are. I haven't croaked yet, so honestly, to tell you the truth, I can be talking and be wrong about everything I say, but I'm okay with that. So, but
Hey.
here's what I love that women rising means this: we are truly stepping into our balance of masculine feminine. But for men, you're getting to embrace more of the feminine.
Mhm.
And I love that because that's what the authentic voice is. That's what all of that is for men. And so Corey, you're a beautiful example
Oh, sure.
of
Thank you.
men stepping forward, speaking their truth. There's another beautiful example who just popped on, Dr. Saf Buxy, all the way from the UK. Saf!
Hey.
Okay. So, but really, like, it is such a beautiful thing. And your book really, gentlemen, if you've struggled with your emotions and tapping into them
Yeah.
and you are disconnected, you need to read the book. Ladies, if you really want to understand men a little bit better, read Corey's book. Get a perception from Corey's side.
It's a weird place to go. Because like
Weird
I mean,
place to
honest, it is a
go.
weird place to go. Because everybody kind of said to me, oh, like in the first place, like you need to write a book because, quite frankly, like I don't want to do what you did, but I sure want to know what it was like, right? So it's kind of like that when I talk about the authenticity side of things now as well, right? Like I'm not
Yeah,
expecting people to necessarily do what I have done, but at the same time, like just kind of like understand that there is an element of our side of things as guys, really, that we do have our own expectations that have systematically been put onto us and marketed to us for so many years and all the rest of it, and we've kind of fallen into that trap a little bit. And it is good to bring in that balance of the masculine and feminine, but also be aware as well. And this is where I'm a little stuck sometimes. I'm not going to deny it, Debbie, where I have a bit of a conflict with this. It's not easy. And that
okay.
is that, you know, we kind of like, it's like, how do you still be a real man through all that? Because you got to be politically correct now, right? Like you can't just say the things that you could say back in the late 90s or 80s when I was out there doing shows. It's not as acceptable as it was back then. So where is the line? And the line seems to always, it's moving so much these days where you don't know. So like the guy that can turn around and just, you know, want to be, I guess you could say, the guy and just
Yeah.
be kind of sexy in his conversation without going over the top. It's kind of like, where's the line? I don't know where I don't know where to go now, because if I'm pushing it too far, I could deflect that person and you know, get them all riled up about saying the wrong thing. It's like there's just that thing where it's kind of like you want to be that man, but at the same time, how far do you push it? And that's a tough thing. It really is at this in this era we're in, I guess, you know, for me anyways. It's dropping back into that dating scene again. It's kind of like, how do I do this? I'm like starting
Oh,
all over again with training
well,
wheels on.
no, 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 no. Actually, I'm gonna tell you, the dating scene was simple for me. First off, I didn't date.
Mm,
Secondly, my friend Lisbeth goes, John, you'll probably remember this. Goes, you need to get on Facebook dating because, and I'm like, and it's free, and I'm not like even going onto these dating sites. I'm like, I think I signed up for one, but I never
mm,
filled anything out. So I did do the Facebook thing, but I didn't really fill anything out. And the picture I put was one of me in front of a gong, uh, going like, "What's up?" Because that's me, right?
yeah, just being silly, have a good time. Yeah.
No, absolutely didn't really think about it at all because I wasn't really overtly concerned about it. But when I do connect with somebody, I want their social media
Mm-hmm.
straight up. And you're going to align. You just align. That's how I met my husband. We
Mm-hmm.
just aligned.
Oh yeah, I hear you there.
However, I'm going to promise you that when I did meet him, and even after we were dating for a bit, I was still, he's over here. I was still watching the boundaries, watching his
Mm-hmm.
truth, watching all of that. You
For
know,
sure.
I wasn't just, but I was living within my truth. I didn't go
Mhm.
jumping into something.
Right.
I didn't go jump. We didn't kiss for the first time for like, was it 3 or 4 weeks, Joe? Something like that. I mean, I'm talking like I do this game. I play with my brain
Mm-hmm.
and I get it to do the things I want it to do by telling it to do it. I tell
Mm-hmm.
myself, you know, are
It's
we
that
going to
belief.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, am I just going to go into these hormones and energy because psh, 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 no. Am I
Right.
just going to do this thing because this is what it used to look like? No, we're going to do it completely 100% differently. And that's what we did. It
Yeah.
was, it was, well, there's a lot to it, but in that whole dating thing, thing I found is that the more you're in your truth, the more that you're going to find people who are willing to be in theirs.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's what I
magnetic.
love. But we
Magnetic.
are magnetic. It is just like
Yeah,
that.
you're
Just like that.
literally manifesting it. Yeah. No, I respect that a lot, Debbie. That's really
Because
cool,
I want
actually.
it. Because I want it. So, but I want to but really I want to take a shift because we have 10 minutes and you've
Sure.
got some really super exciting stuff coming and we
Oh,
haven't really
yeah.
talked about it a lot and I want to get into that
Yeah, that's
because I
cool.
think it's well yeah, it's really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, when it comes down to it, I wrote this book, right? And then I was like, it's cool. Like I always wanted to write a book, but at the same time, there's only like so much you can get out of a book because it's kind of one of those things that, of course, there's people that want to read it and whatnot. But for me, I wanted to make to expand and use the book actually for the launch pad of my new career. Because like I guess my motivation, the thing that I really want to be able to do is continue to have my freebird status. I've had a freebird status for most of my adult life. So
I
by
bet. Yeah.
actually, yeah. So and I feel like if I'm in a cubicle somewhere, I'm the guy and I'm the bird in the cage. I'm not happy. I can never really be happy. So my driver now is to be able to do a career that I love to do and be able to have the versatility to do it in the environment that I want to with the type of people that I want to. So again, I'm not here to serve the whole world. I'm just looking at a certain demographic of people that are willing to go where they want, where they're willing to walk through the fire, like I was just talking about, right? So when it comes down to designing courses now based off of my my authenticity as the umbrella, so to speak, I am going after that target demographic, but it can apply to really anyone that's willing to go there. And so by designing video courses, which I'm just in the middle of launching now within this week, it should be on my website, is that I can do those video courses where it doesn't take a lot of effort for me to personally, I guess you could say, be in a one-on-one environment, having to take a lot of my time to do that. So a person can cross-reference that with my book. I'm putting together packages where they get a workbook with it, they get a bookmark with it, it's a package deal where it's actually a lot of value over and above just the book, where a person can actually have this literally impact their life if they're willing to go there. But on the other side of things as well, I'm actually at the same time creating a one-on-one facilitation course as well, where it's a 10-week, 1.5 hour per week facilitation where we literally go one-on-one and I basically gently guide them, help them through that self-discovery journey, help them clarify those core values as well, having an understanding of boundaries. Like I said, there's 10 levels to this. Why am I doing this? Because it bloody well impacted my life so much. That's what it comes down to. It made such a difference when I wrote my book going through this course, that it was such a bloody game changer for me, that I want it for everybody. I really do want everybody to be liberated the way that I was, but you have to want it yourself. As much as I want it for everybody else out there, you have to want it yourself. But man, there's no
Mhm.
dollar
Mhm.
value that can be put on it. There's just no dollar value that can be put on it. And so me now, do you honestly think that I feel like the way I feel is there's no limits now to what I can do personally and professionally to hit that higher state of consciousness with my partners. I really, really honestly from the heart feel that way now. And so I have had that desire so much in my life that I've wanted to really have that, like I said, beyond what I've ever had before. But it took that 2 years of detachment. It took doing all that inner work. It was not easy. It took me facing some heavy, heavy demons to get through that. Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. And that's one thing I can definitely leave with your viewers is that, when it comes down to that, address that authenticity. It's not going to be easy, but when you come out the other bloody side, it'll be worth every bloody penny that you invested into it, because there is no dollar value that can be put on it, really. And so
Yeah.
and again, the guys out there that are like sitting there going, oh, I can't show emotion, I can't show emotion, you're doing more bloody damage to yourself than anybody else, and you owe the people around you more than that. You just do. Let the dam break before you dam break. Get it out there. Like, just get it out of you. Because if you don't, then like I said, those emotions just continue to build. Your irrational mind continues to take over, and eventually you're saying or doing something completely inauthentic and screwing over all the people that are around you. And it's not worth it. It just isn't. It's not all about you.
Woo. We'll see, but that's the truth of it. We're all, the thing is that we're all trauma babies walking around
We are
as adult,
totally
all trauma babies walking around as adult narcissists,
true.
and everybody's
True.
addicted to something. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit what. Now what's happened? Now what's happened with the shift is that we are discovering that we don't have to be that. Oh, wait a minute. There's another way to live. There's another way to do this. And Corey has not only written a book that's giving you some helpful tips and tools to practice, to practice,
Yeah.
to practice, but also coming out with a course and also some one-on-one workshops that he's going to be
Yeah.
doing, which are really super exciting, which will be available on the website. The
Yeah.
idea here is that we understand, I'm aware, okay, I'm aware that I've got really bad, okay, I have, not bad, I have coping skills that have worked for me until they stopped working for me. Anybody else
Mm.
out there, you got a coping skill that is working for you, that
Mm.
stopped working for you? Then get Corey's book. S- t-
Mm-hmm.
Take a different spin on something. Think
Hey,
about it
good.
differently.
You might get a little laugh out of it. You know, I kind of go like it's inspiring, educating, and entertaining. I mean, I've read back into my book actually and sat there and went, oh yeah, damn, that was actually. I just kind of think of myself, wow, that's crazy that I even wrote it. But at the same time, like it is kind of. I'm not tooting my own horn here. I'm just saying that when it
Toot your
comes to,
horn. You know
well,
what? See, but
I hate being that.
I love being that. I toot my horn all the time. I'm a badass dude. I don't even know what's up.
What I'm kind of saying though is that when somebody cross references with the book, yes, they're going to have that element of entertainment there, but what they're not realizing while they're being entertained is they're actually
Yep.
being educated at the same time. So it's kind of like it smacks you across the head, where it's kind of like when that naked truth is being revealed at the end of every chapter, it's like that's the lesson. That's where you should be taking your notes on your own life. Like that's where you should be going, okay, like how can I relate to what this guy went through? And there's, like I said, there's 10 solid ones in there that I just personally dealt with that were my story. But what's your story? Right? Like what, and a
Yeah.
lot of people don't even really connect the dots on their story. Like they're not going, oh, well, this is why this happened. And guess what they're doing? They're just tripping and falling over the same stick over and over
Mhm,
and over
mhm.
again and turning around and looking back at it and going, what did I trip over? And then just going ahead and tripping over another one 5 more feet down the road, right? Like you got to understand why you made these mistakes to be able to actually not make them again in the future, or failures. Understand why those failures were there so you can grow and be better. Like when I think of failure, I always think of when I was a bodybuilder. I strived for failure. I looked for failure. I was in the gym trying to fail every day. Because why? Because it made me grow. And that's the physical aspect of it. But now I'm on the mental side of it, looking for failure to help me to grow. As
That
crazy as it is.
it's the truth, though.
It's
I
so
actually
crazy.
I posted something on Facebook yesterday about this, about that thing that you're afraid to do, go and do it.
Do it. Yeah.
Even if the outcome could, any outcome could be failure. Somebody asked a question the other day about certainty, and I said, certainty? You tell me. I can be certain of this. There is no certainty, and I can be certain of this, that all there is the unknown.
Oh
But
man.
but when you have the tools to navigate that, then you're onto something. And that's what this is about. So being the example out there in the world is why we show up for this. And
Mhm.
that's what's so important about people read the book. See what nugget of naked truth. I love that. The naked
It's
truth
all
is
Brandon.
yeah, at the end of each chapter, and I
Yeah.
mean, take your experiences to learn, because what you said was so valuable, to learn why it happened so it can stop you can stop happen that can stop,
Yeah.
it's not coming out.
Why are you gonna keep tripping
I
over the
just
stick?
I said I when I asked somebody, and why do you think you did that? And I get an ego response, no, why do you think you did that?
Mm,
What is it that you're looking to feel, like fill it
mm.
in?
The
What are
void,
you
yeah.
trying, yeah, what void are you trying
Mhm.
exactly.
I was gonna
That's
say,
it.
Debbie, I know we gotta go really quick, but I have to mention this because there's something that Lewis Howes actually. I love Lewis, man.
I
He's so
love
cool.
Lewis. Oh my god,
He's
yeah,
so
right?
cool.
Jeez, we
But he
love you, Lewis.
he made this one comment one time, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take his challenge up. I just love it." Right? So he said to me, or he said on this one podcast I was listening to, he said, I was always so worried about approaching women. Like, and Lewis is a good-looking dude. He's got no problem with that. Like, you'd think, oh, yeah, this guy's got all the confidence in the world, right?
Right,
So he
right.
always had this thing about approaching beautiful women, and he said to himself, "I'm going to take the next 50 women that I cross paths with, and anyone that actually is actually even remotely like appealing to him, he's going to
Uh-huh.
walk up and force himself to walk up and introduce himself, and wherever the chips fall, they fall." And and so he would actually get himself out of that comfort zone, face his biggest fear, and just walk right into it and like let it happen. And if he got slapped across the face, he got slapped across the face. If he ended up on a date, he ended up on a date, right? But he opened that door, and it was a game changer for him. So I kind of did the same thing. Like I say, even just recently, like I was just bold and just turned around and I said to this one particular girl who actually happens to live down where you live, believe it or not, I just kind of boldly said, we should actually connect. And she was like, "Yeah, I think we should." And I was just like, "What?" Like, I never even
Yep.
dreamed, right? So now she's looking at coming up here and vice versa. But it's like crazy. You don't know. You can't. If you want something, go get it. You got to ask, or you're never going to get what you want. So, be bold. Every time that I've been bold in my life, that I've actually pushed myself out there, made the jump, I wouldn't have been a male dancer in the first place unless if I had to listen to my own head. Because in my
Right.
own head, I sat there and said, there is no way in hell I could ever do that career looking at those guys out there doing it. There's no way I could ever do it. If I had to listen to my own head, I wouldn't have the past that I had. And that would have been a tragedy because I don't regret any of my career. I was never exploited. I loved what I did. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would go back and do it all over again. I really
Be
would.
bold, man. I love
Gotta
that.
be
Be
bold.
bold. Be bold.
Gotta
And I love
be.
that. Use, be courageous. Be courageous. And I hope that what everybody's gotten out of this is there's another way to do this thing called life. And
Oh,
that
yeah.
there's tools and there's beautiful things that are available to you. And I really encourage everybody to please go get Corey's book. I'm going to post
Oh,
it one more time. It's here in the chat. And it's going to put it across the screen right here. There you
it's a
go.
lot of fun.
And please keep an eye on the website and Corey because he's going to be releasing his soon to be workshops that are coming up and whatnot.
Um,
Corey, it's been dynamite having you. I can only imagine the sun is just coming right at you right now, but
Yeah,
it's
it just
awesome.
hit, just opened up actually. The floodgates
Oh,
just opened, and I'm looking out. Actually, I live on Lake Okanagan here in British Columbia, and it's like as soon as that sun comes out, it glares off the lake, so it just went
yeah.
right into my face. But no, as always, Debbie, it feels like I've known you forever. I don't know why. It just feels like we've known each other since we were in school or something. And I really, really just appreciate you having me
Thank
back
you.
on to be straightforward, and I admire what you and Joe have actually. Like I say, like when I look out at that, I kind of envy people that have that type of connection. And I
Mhm.
mean, I'm not saying that everybody has their own unique thing, but at the same time, I think that you guys are hitting a higher state of consciousness with what you guys are doing, and you should be recognized for that and proud of it. So good on you guys for doing what you're doing right now. Kudos.
I so appreciate it. I can tell you I mean, it's been it's been really good work, but work because
Work. Yeah.
yeah, it never stops. It never
Yeah.
stops. There's it's no matter how many years I studied NVC, compassionate communication, emotional intelligence, and that's what my degree is that it is communication.
There you go.
Man, I promise you, putting it into action, actually being in it with the experience and practicing it, I get I go, wow. So it really requires a lot of connection and communication, and that's the one thing that Joe and I do really well is we talk.
There you go.
Well,
Massive.
I talk a lot. So, hey, shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The same mouth that got me in trouble in school is the same mouth that makes me money. So,
There you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's double-edged sword there. That's awesome.
all
No,
right.
love it.
I love you guys, and I'm going to be back. Corey, thank you so much for coming on again.
Always a pleasure.
God, it was awesome having you.
Yeah,
And
as well.
everybody, Women Rising this Saturday, 9 a.m. It'll be on Unify. It'll be right here, simulcast on Spirituality Gone Wild, but it'll also be on some other places throughout. We're going to be like everywhere. But come and support us on Unify, and please like and follow Unify, unify.org, because they are the Guinness Book of World Record holders for over 100 plus million people that participate in their meditations.
Oh, wow.
We have World Water Day. We've got World Peace coming up during the summer. There's all kinds of stuff that we have there that is all about what we can do in our own lives to make this planet a better place. Women Rising is about all the tools like we talked about today and more from experts in the field as well as from us. Well, we are also experts in the field, so I guess we all are experts. You know what? Screw that. Y'all just come because it's really going to be badass. I promise you.
Hey,
Corey,
five of those letters in expert or in experience, right?
oh shit. We'll leave you with that. Be bold, everybody. Thank you for watching. We'll